chest of drawers and a mirror that lies. Mirror that lies, a mirror that lies. That couldn't be me in the gorilla disguise.
Marie Escher. I was born Marie Muirhead, actually Clara Marie Muirhead, but for years I've been Marie Escher. On my father's Toronto side of the family, his mother was a Milliken of Millikens Corners. His father was Richard Muirhead, who had been a Shakespearean actor in the British Isles until the family outside of Glasgow, who considered themselves to be pretty grand, found out about it and ran him out of the British Isles because that wasn't respectable behavior, and somehow he made it to Ontario and met my grandmother, Harriet Milliken, but that's another story. Anyway, the Millikens at Millikens Corners had come up at the time of the American Revolution from Boston because they were loyalists. And in 1837, there was a rebellion against the Crown in Ontario. Well, the Millikens had Millikens Corners, which was literally that. It was a crossroads out in the middle of no place in Markham County up above Toronto. Milliken is now a stop on the subway. It's a commuting suburb of Toronto, believe it or not. It's all Chinese now. But the crossroads had an inn and a general store and a church and a post office, and that was Millikens Corners. Well, in 1837, my great-grandmother was, as they used to say, great with child. She was expecting my grandmother Harriet. And her husband was a colonel in the militia, and he was away with the militia. And my great-grandmother was at the inn, and she was behind the counter, and some of the rebels came in looking for Colonel Milliken, and the head of the group said to my grandmother, they said, "Ma'am, we wish to speak with Colonel Milliken." And my great-grandmother said, "Well," she said, "the colonel is from home." And the men started to surge forward and said, "We'll see about that. We'll search the property and see if he's hiding someplace." And at this point, their leader jumped over the counter and stood beside my great-grandmother and said to his men, "Mrs. Milliken says the colonel is from home, and her word is good enough for me, and if you wish to seek further, you must pass me to do so." And they all went slinking off. And shortly thereafter, my grandmother Harriet Milliken was born, so I know she was born in 1837, the year the Queen Victoria ascended to the throne, and the year of the rebellion against the Crown in Ontario.